one of the most important things to understand. A cause for so much of our pain and discomfort comes down to this simple notion. Growth is very rarely about getting that magical thing you need, and instead is about eliminating the things that you don't. It's about less. If you imagine yourself as a backpacker, hiking, climbing mountains, it's instead of filling it with rocks that don't support where you're going, don't help you with the ascent, emptying that bag, removing it, and taking with you only the essentials. There's a story about a woman who loved her garden more than anything. And she'd rise with the sun, she'd kneel in the soil, care for the plants, like they were family, right? It was like that important to her. Watering, trimming, whispering encouragement like the earth itself was listening. And over time, her garden became her masterpiece. But as the seasons passed, it became something else too. Something heavier. The vines grew wild. The weeds wrapped around the roots. Some plants that once bloomed now stood still and lifeless, confined. But she didn't remove them. She couldn't, because she felt like they were a part of her. They reminded her of what she used to be. She held on out of habit, out of comfort, out of memory, out of fear of what removing them might mean. And we all have this story that we tell ourselves, sometimes closely aligned with reality, sometimes very far from it. But in this case, she would tell herself it was loyalty. She would leave the excess and the mess and the chaos because of loyalty. In reality, it was fear in disguise. Nothing more, nothing less. And one afternoon, her neighbor looked over the fence and said gently, "Hey, you have a beautiful space. I see how hard you work on it. I see how much you love it. And, please excuse me for saying this, but it seems like it's gotten a little crowded, a little out of hand. And nothing new can grow in that soil that's already spoken for." And the woman got mad at first, hearing that kind of, it hit personally. But after a few seconds, she calmed down and something seemed to click. "Thank you," she responded. "I'll keep that in mind." And that night, as she walked through her garden, she did so with new eyes. Like, she finally saw what had taken over, the overgrowth and the clutter, the lifeless things still clinging to space that once belonged to beauty. And so she began the painful, sacred process of letting go. Not in anger, not in resentment, but in reverence. She finally arrived at that place because it served her. And now it was time to create room for something new. The same way that, we all go into our closet to get dressed in the morning, right? You open it, sometimes you immediately feel overwhelmed. Clothes stacked from 10 years ago, jeans that don't fit anymore, jackets you haven't worn but paid too much for, so you keep them around. And every time you try and find something to wear, you mutter, "I have nothing to wear," right? We've all been there. But the truth is, it's not that you have nothing, it's that you have too much of what no longer fits. It's the same idea as the garden. And eventually, there comes this moment, a breaking point where you say, "I'm cleaning this out," right? This is out of hand. You take everything off the hangers, you sort of piece by piece go through it all and ask, does this represent who I am now? Does this fit now? Do I still want to carry this version of myself into the future? Right? Not literally, but that's the idea. That's what we're asking. And what happens? You make space. Your closet breathes again, and you walk away lighter. Not because you lost anything, but because you released what no longer belongs. And whether it's a garden or a closet, the principle's the same. Letting go is an act of self-respect. And yet, it's oddly something we resist. We think growth is about acquiring. Of course we do. More friends, more commitments, more achievements. But true growth is often about subtraction. Removing noise and clutter, letting go of identities and habits and stories that once served us, but now hold us back. Now they are the weeds in the garden. Now they are the old unused jackets taking up space in the closet. The question is not, is it good or bad? The question is it aligned with who I'm becoming? And they're very different things. There's a certain courage in letting go. And I can, speak from personal experience. I've come toe-to-toe with that demon over and over and over again. It's not easy. There's a quiet strength in choosing space, in trusting that what you clear out will one day be filled with something better. You have to put trust into the universe and yourself to navigate it. That space, that silence, that empty soil or open hangar, it's not a loss, it's an invitation. So here's my ask. What are you holding on to that no longer fits? What emotional weeds are choking out the light in your life? What memories are you watering long after the lesson's been learned? Because maybe, just maybe, it's time to weed that garden. To open the closet doors of your mind and say, this no longer serves me. And not just say it, but act on it. Letting go doesn't mean the past didn't matter. The past was everything. It was your lessons, it was your path. But there's a saying, what got you here won't get you there. Choosing less means you're no longer choosing to live in yesterday. You're not betraying who you were. You're making peace with who you've been so that you can become who you're meant to be. When that woman cleared her garden, when you clean out your closet, what you're doing is reclaiming space for clarity and creativity, for purpose. And in that space, I promise you something beautiful blossoms. So here's to clearing the weeds. Here's to letting go of what no longer fits. To, yes, honoring that past, but building a future that breathes. Because this is not about gardens or closets, it's about you and the life that's waiting for you to make space for it.